Welcome back to the video. Today we are back from the NFL video. This time we're going to be talking about probably the biggest offseason move this year so far in the NFL, and that is Aaron Rodgers going from the Packers to the Jets. And I think really I just want to talk through what this means for all kinds of playoff implications next year, division matchups, all that kind of stuff. And because really, if you're watching this video, you're probably a fan of football, and I'm a fan of football. And so this is something that is going to be a huge change going into next season. And I want to start with, oddly enough, talking about the Broncos, because last year when they got Russell Wilson, that was a big deal. People saw that as like a huge change, and you never know, like if they were going to go, super far in the playoffs. I know some analysts even picked, I mean, not a lot, but some picked like a dark horse to even upset the Chiefs and take the division title that year, or last year, I should say. And it was just completely horrible. I mean, no one really saw that coming. So this is really interesting because of just how stacked the AFC is with Rodgers going to the Jets. So this right here is the standings last year. This was how the season ended. It was very, very close. Steelers and Patriots were both out of the playoffs, but were both very, very close to making the playoffs. And the Dolphins barely squeaked in the end. So just looking at this, I know you guys have probably seen this before, but you have Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Tua Tagovailoa, Kenny Pickett, and Mac Jones, all right there in the first, 9 teams, I think. So you have all those quarterbacks, and you also have Deshaun Watson on the Browns with the full offseason not being able to play. You have Jimmy Garoppolo now on the Raiders. You have Russell Wilson. I couldn't think of his name for a second. Russell Wilson on the Broncos. So you have a ton of talent in the AFC at quarterback. And it's crazy because some big-name quarterbacks just aren't going to make the playoffs because there's just not enough seeds. It's just not going to happen. So I think the craziest thing, and just going through this, like the Titans, they went up and got Will Levis. We'll see how that goes. I can go down a little bit more here, or at least I thought. Where can I not? Okay, there we go. Going out a little bit more here, you have the Colts and you have the Texans. And then the Colts, of course, got Anthony Richardson, and then the Texans got C.J. Stroud, along with Will Anderson, both in the top 3 picks. So a ton of moves in the offseason. But again, this is talking about Aaron Rodgers, this video specifically, and what that really means next year. So let's go back up here so we can have kind of all the teams that I'm trying to talk about for this video. So in the Jets division, you have the Bills, who won the division last year. You have the Dolphins, who barely made the playoffs, and then you have the Patriots and the Jets. So it's those 4 teams. Now, in my opinion, the Patriots are the bomb of this division. Some people might disagree. I feel like for the most part, though, whatever order you have, the Patriots are pretty much in last, I would assume, at least after last year. So with Rodgers going to the Jets, now you have to think the Bills, they were a little shaky toward the end of the year last year. They were still a great team. The playoffs were a little lackluster for them. They barely beat the Dolphins against a 7th-round rookie quarterback, and then kind of got stomped by the Bengals. And again, they had injuries all through last year, and I get that. And this isn't a Bills hating video, because I don't hate the Bills. But this is going to provide a lot more competition, more games a year. So if they were struggling, before, which again, 3 losses, I know it's not a lot of losses, but some of those were some very close games. You now have Aaron Rodgers on the Jets. And so what that means for the Bills, I don't really want to say, oh, they're not making the playoffs, or oh, they're not winning the division, because really, in my opinion, I would say the AFC East, which is the Patriots division with the Bills and Jets and Dolphins, and the AFC North are probably going to be the most competitive divisions in the AFC. So with Rodgers being there, you have to think that, like, if everyone's super high on him because the defense was great last year, so now he's coming to a team with Garrett Wilson already there, Breece Hall coming back from ACL tear, they signed Alan Lazard, and as of today, at the time of recording this, they even signed Randall Cobb, which isn't great by any other standards, but him and Rodgers have that connection, everybody knows that. So a lot has gone down to where you think that, like, maybe Rodgers is really the piece the Jets need to actually take a huge step, not just like another, little step to maybe make the playoffs, to really, like, compete with some of the best teams in this conference. Because you got to think Garrett Wilson last year won Offensive Rookie of the Year without a stable quarterback at all. And one of those quarterbacks that was throwing the ball to him was Zach Wilson, which, like, Zach Wilson is horrible. I don't see him improving a whole lot, in my opinion, unless he really matures. I think a lot of it is just the mental part. He just, I guess, thinks he's entitled to things. I don't know. I'm not a fan of Zach Wilson. So you got to think that Garrett Wilson putting up the numbers he did without a great quarterback, and then let alone getting Aaron Rodgers now, who even though he's older is, obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer, is going to really increase Garrett Wilson's productivity. And same with Allen Lazard, because they've already played together with Rodgers. So to me, the Jets, with having a very kind of I won't say rough offense, but just, I guess it was a rough offense though, but a really stacked defense. Now they can help out that defense, because there were some times where the defense would get stop after stop after stop and the offense just couldn't score. But now you got to think, if the Jets defense continues to play at that high level and gets all those stops, my guess is Aaron Rodgers can be scoring more on offense than what Zach Wilson or Mike White was able to with that offense. So this is going to be very interesting to me, because like I said before, the division being the Patriots, Jets, Dolphins, and Bills is now, in my opinion, a 3-team race. I don't think the Patriots are going to compete for first place. I think they are going to be competitive, because I think they did get better over this offseason, but I don't see them in the same tier as the other 3 teams. So it's going to be, really, in football in general, every game matters. That's why I love football compared to, basketball. You can go on a 7-game losing streak in basketball, but if you go on a 7-game losing streak in the NFL, that's completely different. So you got to think that, the division games already mean so much. Now with, 3 teams, because technically it is mathematically possible that an entire division does make the playoffs. That can happen. I'm not sure if it has happened or if it happened recently or not, but I know the NFC East with with Washington, Cowboys, Eagles, and Dallas were very, very close to doing that last season. So I don't see all 4 teams making it, but it is possible for the Dolphins and Jets and Bills to make it. But you also have to think that the Bills will have a very tough schedule, being as good as they are. I'm pretty sure their schedule is a bit on the tougher side. I can double check that though, and I'm going to right now just so I don't say something incorrect. Hey guys, real quick break in the video here. Whenever I check to see if the Bills did indeed have one of the toughest schedules, I did, like I said, found that it was the second or whatever I said it was. I've seen it vary. Some say 7, some say 2, some say 3 or 4 or 5. Either way, my point was just that, very tough schedule, probably top 5 next season. So hopefully, just you can fact check that if you want, but that's really what I found. But anyway, continue the video. And yes, I did check. The Bills for next year have the second hardest schedule, and funny enough, first is the Patriots, which is a little interesting, because as we're just talking how competitive this is going to be, it's going to mean every game really matters. But I think what I'm trying to get at here, and maybe I haven't done a good job of saying this or not, maybe I have, I'm not really sure, but at the very least, because the other teams in that division are so competitive, people might not have the best record. You might just steal a game each time. Maybe one team just gets upset both times. And a lot of times that can affect the record, because it might not be as good as the team really is, because their strength or schedule is so strong. They're losing all these games where they are a great team. They're just playing other really great teams. And I think it's really interesting, because the AFC, a lot of these teams are like that. There can be, like the Bengals next year, they could make the wild card, and they could be 10-7 or whatever that would be. 10-7, I believe, yeah, in the wild card. Whereas, I think they would be much better than a 10-7 team. So I think it's going to be really interesting next year. But Rodgers to the Jets is going to shake up a lot of things, mainly because the quarterback is going to push out of the playoffs, and the team is going to push out of the playoffs. Because, in my opinion, I do not see the Jets missing the playoffs next year. I was shocked they missed it this past year until they kind of crumbled at the end. 6-game losing streak, it says right there, which was, just awful. But, mid-season, they look like a team to beat, honestly, especially in their division. So if they have Aaron Rodgers there, which they do officially have that now, I see the Jets being either a division winner or in the wild card. And maybe, you know what, like I said, I started the video with the Broncos, how overhyped that was. Maybe the same thing happens to the Jets, because I will say these situations are very similar. The Broncos also last season had an incredible defense, and the offense just was not able to produce, even though the defense was getting stop after stop after stop. And the Jets found themselves in the same position a lot. And I don't know statistically what it meant for the Jets, but I remember last year, I think around week 8 or 9, it was that, if the Broncos offense had scored at least, 18 points or something in however many games, they would have been, 8-1 instead of, whatever they were at that point in the year. So, really crazy, because if the Broncos had a more high-powered offense, getting all those stops or just scoring more than 18 points a game, it could have been a completely different year. And so here's the other thing I wanted to say before I end this video, is that the Broncos, some people, like I mentioned, picked to be kind of a dark horse to beat the Chiefs and win the division last season, and it just didn't happen that way. But you have to think that, in my opinion, the Broncos beating the Chiefs would be way crazier, or to win the division, that is, would be way crazier than the Jets beating the Bills. Because in my mind, in the Chiefs division, there is a huge gap between the Chiefs and then second place, at least right now. I mean, they are seriously unstoppable. Doesn't matter who they lose, like Tyreek Hill, it's still Patrick Mahomes, and that's really all you need to give your team a chance to win. But in the AFC East, the Bills lost one of the Jets last year with, not Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. So playing Rodgers twice a year, what that will mean to the other teams in that division is, before nothing came easy, but now especially nothing's going to come easy. But again, the same goes for the Jets, because I'm not saying the Jets are going to be, 15-2 and they're going to be absolutely unstoppable. But I don't think the Jets need another piece to the puzzle to really push for the playoffs, except for a quarterback. And they went and got Aaron Rodgers. Now, I will say he's older. That means their championship window is probably, 2-3 years if they actually benefit from this trade. They don't have a lot of chances to do it. So unless they get some serious wins and a Super Bowl appearance or something like that, if they don't get any of that, that trade is going to be a huge L for the Jets, because they took quite a risk getting a quarterback that old. But in my opinion, I see the Jets being a very, very good team next year. And a lot can change from just in the offseason from now to August before games even start. But how things are right now, for even fantasy football, I think Garrett Wilson is going to be a very good receiver next year for fantasy football, and then also probably a top, 10 receiver in the NFL next year. I do think he will actually be more productive than Allen Lazard. I think Garrett Wilson just is a better player, honestly, especially because we haven't got to see him with a true quarterback yet. So I'm very excited for that. I'm sure Jets fans are excited too. But let me know down below if you guys think the Jets are actually going to capitalize off this trade, or if it's going to be like more of a Russell Wilson thing where it just kind of blows up in their face. I don't know. Those are my thoughts, though. These were the standings last year, like I said. I think it is going to switch up a lot next year. I really do. The Ravens, they went and got Odell. They drafted Zay Flowers. They re-signed Lamar. If they can stay healthy, they could definitely win the AFC North. The Steelers had an incredible draft, arguably the best, and Kenny Pickett improved a lot over the course of last season. So AFC North is going to be tough. AFC East is going to be tough. AFC West, I think the Chiefs are win the division. I don't think it really matters too much there. Then the AFC South, you have two rookie quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud on the Texans and Anthony Richardson on the Colts. And then, of course, you have Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. And then there's a team I'm forgetting for some reason, I think, in that division, which, whatever. Either way, I think it's going to be a ton of fun next season seeing all this play out. The AFC is absolutely stacked. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos like this over the course of the offseason, just talking through things, any changes. And even if there's, for some reason, no more changes happen at all during the offseason, we have a lot to talk about as far as the draft, which I'm going to have a video on very soon, and just all kinds of other things with the team. Deshaun Watson having a full offseason with the team, what that can mean, all kinds of stuff. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. I do Madden and NFL videos. Basically, it's football, no matter the format, whether it's talking about it or doing a tier list or even playing video games. NFL, we do videos like this, talking about stuff. We do NFL tier list videos, we do NFL quiz videos. And then, of course, when the season is going to do a week picks every week. And then Madden, we have a No Money Spent series. We do gameplays on there. We do pack openings on there, all that kind of stuff. So thank you guys for watching. I do really appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.